Alexandra Crabb has spent 20 years in PR working with technical founders in B2B, AI, semiconductors, spatial computing, Internet of Things, and SaaS. 6 weeks ago, she became the owner of Castor Communications, the agency she had worked at for the past 12 years, and now acts as its president. I'm Justin Obi, and today's episode of Return on Reputation, Alex is on the other side of the mic. After 2 decades of building reputations for other people and brands, we're going to find out what she'd tell a founder trying to build one today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Now let's get into it. All right, Alex, welcome to Return on Reputation. So happy to have you here. Big news, I think, if I can share this for you. I don't know. You can just stop me or don't say the news, but it's fresh. And so it's a great story. 6 weeks ago, you became the owner of Castor Communications, which is a 28-year-old agency, for those listening who don't know, based in Newport, Rhode Island. And you've been there for 2 decades. So big congratulations.
Not quite, but almost. But
Okay.
thank you. Yeah.
I was rounding up.
14, like 14 years almost, I think is what I'm saying. So yes, a long time. Most of my professional career has been here.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
very
huge.
cool.
So
thank you.
I would call it maybe intrapreneurship. You got your start, you helped grow the business, and then you took ownership of it.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's crazy. I never really set out to be, I never had it in like my head that I was going to start a PR agency or I've been doing PR since college. So I felt like PR was my path, communications, PR, marketing. But I never really planned to start or own an agency. So but I had always worked at small agencies. I really liked that. So I always had a lot of autonomy with my work. And when I came to Castor, I had already, had about 10 years working in tech PR.
Yeah.
So I came in as a VP and was brought on to help grow the business and grow our client base. We were really small. We're still small. We're 10 people, but we were 5 then. So it doubled it.
That's huge.
But yeah, so we're a boutique tech PR agency.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's awesome. It's exciting. It's definitely scary. It's like coming into this is like when you found something on your own, it's different. There's a reputation and sort of like there's already a culture here that I have to uphold and maintain. And so it's pressure.
And you also helped shape
pride.
that. I mean, you were there for 14 years. So you came in and then you've seen the inner workings of it. You helped grow the business. What made you, was it the opportunity that just came to you, or was that something you actively sought out, or how did that transition happen?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's been in the works for years. So I would guess, I kind of believe that when Kimberly Lancaster, who founded Castor 28 years ago and was the president until I acquired in March, she's still on our team. She's helping through the transition until probably till August or around then. But when she hired me, I believe that she probably was looking for that. Right.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, but I think she was always thinking about what, how do I, and this happens with a lot of smaller agencies and smaller companies. What does the end game look like, and how do you transition when you're ready to retire? Like
Absolutely.
a family business type of situation. So so I think she'd been thinking about it for a long time. We've been talking about it for years now. So I felt really prepared because she had been, setting me up for this for a long time. So I've been learning the ins and outs of the business for many years. Me and my partner, I have a partner, Pete Gerard. He's also worked here for about 14 years. So together we've been learning the ins and outs. So I felt, pretty prepared.
Is there a different weight now that you're an owner? Like
Oh
how has that
yeah, of
shifted?
course. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you
Yeah.
worry about it, just don't screw this up. You know, we have to I want to live up to the reputation that we built, but that she's built
Hmm.
also, um, not only for, for our team, there's a legacy to maintain. There's a team that now depends on me in a different way than they did before, you know,
Yeah.
um, and so I feel pride, but I also feel pressure, and I want to make sure I strike a balance between the future that I want to build and the mark that I want to leave, but also
Hmm.
maintaining the quality and sort of the service level that we've established, and the reputation that
Yeah.
Castor has. But I think so I have a healthy respect for what's already been built, and I don't want to make huge changes, but I want to help make sure we're evolving in the way that we need to as things change and grow.
Yeah. And the world is changing rapidly right
Yeah,
now. But I view
exactly.
a lot of people I talk about AI all the time now with like how that collides with brand and reputation and business growth. And I had a great conversation the other week on the show with someone who was in AI, and he believes that it doesn't take away from anybody's jobs. It's only transitioning how people work and allowing you to be more productive. So I guess all that to say, are you guys thinking about AI as in the next chapter of Castor? And
Yeah, of
if
course.
so, like how does that I don't know. I feel like everyone's got this two jobs to do the job they have and then
Yeah,
to learn AI, and
yeah, it
it's a
is
lot.
true. Yeah, we're of course we're looking at how AI changes our business and our clients' business. I think one of the things that I like to equate this to, like Kim, who founded Castor, was very early on the social media train. So
Okay.
like
Okay.
2008 on Twitter, making her team get on Twitter, and encouraging and recommending her clients get on Twitter, and
Yeah.
started building that as a business model. So
Okay.
we were one of the earliest agencies to be selling
Oh, interesting.
social media packages. And I wasn't at Castor at that time, although I worked for another small PR agency who was also pretty early in that space. So I feel
Mm.
like it was a good alignment when I joined Castor. But so Kim had this vision for that, and I think we're sort of at that place now with AI too. So
Yeah.
we have to be ahead of it for ourselves and for our clients, because
Yep.
how
Yep.
discoverability works is going to be changing so much. So we're learning it as we go. We probably spend 3/4 of our team meetings each week on AI. How do we measure it? And yesterday we had a whole conversation about, is GEO even real, or
Mm.
is it just, you know, is it a scam? Because
Interesting. Okay.
it's changing so much. Like
Yeah.
how we're getting served all of these different tools from vendors about how to measure AI discoverability for our clients,
Yeah.
and we're trying some of them out. We've been using some of them for a while. We also have our own proprietary tools that we're doing this, which is like manual searches. But it's interesting because it's like all of that is like not replicating how people are doing it in their regular lives. So when somebody goes to search like
Mm.
best
Mhm.
car audio, they already have a history on their AI model, whatever AI model they're using, and that influences the
Oh,
answers that are coming in.
interesting.
So it's so different for, even if we're doing our manual searches in an incognito window, or these tools do it completely, um, you know, basically like incognito. It's different than how people are actually using. So we're trying to understand it,
Interesting.
and we're doing a lot of research and testing on it. And I think we've done a good job of, our team has taken a lot of courses
Mm.
to kind of get up to speed with how to use it in our everyday lives. But yeah,
But
we're
that
all
makes
kind
sense
of
because
learning this
so if
together.
I'm like I have a long history with some like Claude chats and
Yeah.
whatever.
It knows
And
you.
it knows exactly what I'm interested, and all these little nuances about me, which is probably scary. But so you're saying that because of the history I have with that chat, it will recommend other things outside of what the influenced AEO is
Yeah.
possible, or so it becomes
Well,
even harder to.
this is what we believe. We believe that
Yeah,
it will, it will, your what it knows about you will influence what it
just
serves you as results.
interesting.
So
Interesting.
we believe, like, with the tools that we're using, and I'll give one example is we use Muckrack for our
Okay.
media lists and our coverage reports. It's a pretty popular tool, and it works great for a lot of things. But they have a new AI tool called Generative Pulse, which is we've been using for a while. And so the way that they're showing results is as if it's a blank slate. So it's
Mm,
like somebody who's never visited ChatGPT
no
ever
search
before goes to
history at
ask a
all.
question there. Yeah. So
It's
that's
interesting.
going to show a totally different result than you or me.
Right.
Um, so I mean,
So it's a
it's a f-
whole
it's a
new complex
foundation.
challenge.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's giving us insights we can work with, but
Mhm.
we're trying to understand all of this in real time as it's changing so fast, but
Yeah.
trying to also be ahead of it for clients. And no matter what, there is definitely a big shift happening for how people discover anything, brands, solutions, products. And so
Yeah. It's
that is,
shifting again, right? Social. How did you view social? I mean, just in the past 5 years, so much attention being poured into social media.
yeah,
Um, in addition to, I mean, now we're adding AI into that mix. In addition to traditional media sources, there's so much happening. It's like, would you call it a Wild West again?
yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, we went from, I mean, oh gosh, we, we miss our early Twitter days, I think, but and it's definitely a wild west. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all these new social platforms, and we're not even on this podcast. We're probably not even touching on the other stuff like the TikToks of the world. But there's Blue Sky and
Yep.
Mastodon and all these things that come into play. And I think, but I think where we're looking at when we're talking about B2B founders, and which is, the core of your audience, LinkedIn is still key.
Yeah.
Um and I think right now with everything that's happening with AI, LinkedIn is important because this is definitely a time for people and brands to become thought leaders. This is a chance for people to become authorities in a lot of different in every space. So
Mm.
there's going to be new authorities that rise to the top in this
This
new
time right
AI
now.
world,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I completely agree. I think LinkedIn is massive. It's reminiscent to me of early Twitter,
Yeah,
where there's so much value being shared. I think if you do it correctly, it compounds significantly in your trust and then the reputation that you have within your individual respective network. So it's
100%.
very exciting. I think AI adds to the excitement. I think it's a very there's so much opportunity
Yeah,
everywhere now. It's almost, I don't know. I've been on a lot of show and tells with AI, like how are people using it? It's constant conversation.
yeah,
It's
it
very
is cool.
interesting. But
And
you spent 20 years in the PR world, over 20, I'd say over 20 years. You've seen what works, what makes people and companies visible. You've seen what clients like, where money is best spent. What is, I guess, the honest version of that? Because it's like a lot of founders have a very distorted view of what PR actually does for a brand versus what it's supposed to do today. So
yeah, that's Yeah, that's totally, totally a good question. I think,
What does it do well for a B2B founder's brand? I would just clarify there.
okay. Yeah, I think PR is, I mean, all the things we just talked about, those authorities rising to the top, the credibility and trust that you need. PR is great for building that.
Yeah.
It's third party validation for your technology or your solution. It can create awareness and momentum and trust. I think it,
Yeah.
it is. So it's not paid. It's earned. I mean,
Yeah.
you're paying people to help you get that trust and credibility, but it is coming from, third parties. And I think that's why it's so important.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think the when part of your question was like, what can it do for founders, and then what do they wrong about it, or what do they miss, or something. But
Well, I guess I feel like a lot of people have expectations of PR and what it should do versus what it actually does.
yes, trust, I deal with that all the time. It's because it's not magic, so it's
Right.
not instant, and there's not instant sales that come out of PR. I think that's one thing. There's not
Yeah.
even instant,
I get listed in
leads.
Forbes and everything turns up, leads come in flooding through the door. It's not real.
Right, right. It's not real. It's not going to get you immediate downloads or
Yeah.
immediate, partners or customers. But it's also not something that you can turn on immediately when you need it and turn
Mhm.
it off. I think that's, that's a issue that with a lot of founders, they're very busy building their brand, building their technology,
Yeah.
and their heads down on that, which is great, and obviously that matters. But then they assume when they're ready to go public, they can just turn it on, launch, get a couple great stories, get their fundraising, turn it off, and wait until they're the next big milestone or whatever. And that's not how PR works either. I think you said it like it just like LinkedIn, or it builds on itself,
It's
and it
compounding.
has, yeah, it's compounding, exactly, and it
Yeah.
has to be part of a longer term strategy.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think I think it's part of it's a mandatory piece of the marketing mix. But it takes time is what you're
Yeah,
saying. And it's a long-term compounding trust building exercise or activity rather
yeah,
that
which
that keeps
is hard for especially
Yeah.
like a startup founder to have patience for, but it's critical.
Right. And I view it the same way. Like reputation, what is reputation? And the show is called Return on Reputation. And
Yeah,
I think reputation is what others think of you while you're not in the room. We call it that because I think brand is the same. Or like
yeah,
I can work with you and I both can work with clients on what is the brand, what is it saying, what is the tagline that we're going to go to the media with and everything. But at the end of the day, like the media is going to decide how it writes a story.
right,
A- And that's a mixture of what we're feeding it, but also what they think of the brand. And same with consumers, right?
yeah. And what's real? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we always we work with a lot of startups, but there are startups that it's not time yet.
Mhm.
You can't start. You shouldn't start PR yet. And I always say that it's until there's some proof that will help us, help back up that story. Um, but also, like, not just proof, but I mean, a we have to have a problem. There has to be a market fit. And sometimes I think people
Mhm.
come up with stuff that they think is great, but they don't understand how to explain who it's for, what problem it solves, and then back that up with evidence. So you do need
Got
to
it.
take the time to do your beta testing and your market research. And so
Because
we have
otherwise they're wasting their money. Just
right,
because there's yeah. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So we have clients come to us that say that they want to do PR and they want to get the big, Wall Street Journal story or whatever, TechCrunch. And we always ask them those questions, and sometimes we have to kind of
Mm.
go start from the beginning and do that whole positioning exercise to help them understand why it's not ready yet.
The positioning matters immensely. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, that's the same for social. It's the same for everything.
Right.
It doesn't work unless the positioning is clear and it's going to attract the right ICP to the
Yeah.
brand.
Now, there's things that they like. I do believe there's lots that can be done as you're building that story. So,
Mhm.
I mean, especially when you're talking founders, like they can be building their own public profile and sharing their own expertise and their knowledge and sort of starting to build their own credibility with that stuff as they're still building the company. I think that's the thing that's hard though. A lot of, you know, especially like startups, they're
Yeah.
heads down until they're ready to be public and but they should
Yep.
be building their presence before that.
No, I
And
completely agree. Do you think so? So if you're taking on a client, are they more attractive to you if the founder already has a big personal brand? Does that make your job easier, or is
yeah,
it
yeah,
actually complicated? Because
I guess it depends. If they're, I mean, we've had clients that have come that have a brand that for trying that they're, isn't so great.
yeah,
But mostly I would say yes. I mean, I think whether they've got, a big public presence or not, it's really it's do they have the expertise and do they have the knowledge? And the
mhm,
best the best founders that we work with have, are I mean, and I would say most of our clients, most of the founders are pretty technical, have an engineering background or something, and they do have that
yeah.
knowledge base, which is really incredible. And then it's figuring out how to help them tell that story. But of course, if they already have a following, yeah, that definitely makes it easier.
And do you think? I mean, I think it's going to be easier. I'm assuming it's easier because the media is going to view them as more attractive, and there's more reach and reason to bring them on. Maybe. Am I? I don't know. Am I correct?
Yeah, if they already have a following,
Yeah, yeah. Why?
or
Why is it easier for you?
yeah, because they've done they have like a legacy, or they have some history that you can lean on.
Yeah.
It's definitely when you have an interesting founder story, it's makes it easier to tell the current technology story to press. Um, but yeah, but I do think it's more important that there's the knowledge base, whether they have a following or not. They could have a
Mm.
following and not really know what they're doing or talking about
Yeah.
too. So
True.
for me, it's more important that there's, that technology when
I
I'm
could tell
talking
that
tech
story.
founders, because that's who I'm working with. But
Yeah.
yeah, that they can talk the talk there.
How much of your work is media training and making sure they can tell the right story and positioning and strategy versus actually getting the coverage?
I mean, we do spend a lot of time up front with
Okay.
the media training and the story development. Um, yeah, I mean, again, like we work with a lot of engineers, very technical, and they often struggle with they almost know too much. So it's
Mhm.
context, having them like take a few steps back and
Yeah.
set up the problem statement again for the layman in the layman's terms. But so we do spend a lot of time doing that in the early days when we're working with the client. So we
Okay.
usually have like a big sort of discoverability session where we're like, really understanding the technology ourselves. I mean, we do pride ourselves. We're a pretty technical team, which is
But
really worked in our favor.
yeah.
But we really try to understand the technology deep down, and then we sort of work with them on telling the story and how to tell it, and then yes, media training and all of that. But then I would say it starts to shift, and most of our time goes into the outreach efforts, and
Mhm.
but we're always going back to the storylines. So the storylines continue to evolve.
Got it.
you know, depending on what's happening in the world, what's happening with the tech, what's happening with AI. It always we call it we have a living, breathing pitch book is what we call it internally,
Okay.
and
Yep.
we kind of keep building on our storylines there, and we work with those the founders, or not only the founders. I mean, you know, usually our clients have, even if they're pretty small, they have several spokesperson people that we can go to, subject matter experts, I guess is a better way to say it.
Yeah. So I think the universal they, people will tell you to, write at a fifth grade level or a sixth grade level, when you're writing for LinkedIn or social, because it's easier to digest and everyone's in a
Yeah.
rush and it's quicker. Is that when you're talking right now about you work with these very technical founders who have
Yeah.
this gift of knowledge and they're like, is that the same thing what you're trying to do there is help them break it down in simpler terms so that the story sells or is easier
Yeah.
to digest?
Yeah. I mean, I think yes, it depends. I'll use an example of one of my clients right now. So we have a client, it's really cool. It's amazing, actually. They do fully homomorphic encryption, which is basically,
Wow.
it's basically using encrypted data without decrypting it. So right now, anytime you use data,
Yeah.
anytime we compute on data, so anytime an AI model uses, reads your query and then produces an answer for you, that's all unencrypted data.
Okay.
And there's so much data out there that can't be used at all because it's sensitive data. And
Right.
so what this client does is allows people, or is going to, is allow people to use that data but still keeping it encrypted. So
Okay.
it's really
Interesting.
cool. But yeah.
Wow.
But so the people they're talking to are like, you know, really technical, security developers, cryptographers, things like that. So we do, so we, so we kind of segment out the audiences
Hmm.
because we don't want to dumb it down too much where it's like a cryptographer is like, why are you telling me this? But we're also talking to investors. So, but they all have a pretty technical foundation, I think. So we take whatever the message is and we usually break it out. We create kind of a matrix of, here's the message for the developer community. Here's the message for the early
Mm,
adopter. Here's the message for the investor, using the same baseline message, but then how do
that's
you
smart.
segment it out for those different folks? And so then we decide, if we're on LinkedIn, who are we talking to on LinkedIn? Probably, maybe not the developer community. Maybe it's more the
Yep.
investors and, like the C-level people that are making some decisions and need to know about this, but aren't going to be like writing the applications.
Got it. Yeah.
So yeah, so we try to help them tell the message in those different buckets, because it is important to keep the technical stuff in there for the right people. And then, and when we're talking to media, there's media that are pretty technical too. So
Sure.
there might be like
Yeah.
the academic publications, and then there's like the engineering publications, and then there's like the
I see.
bigger picture business publications. So it's kind of the same. We do it the same way.
So it scales up and down depending on who the audience is and what they're going to relate to the best.
Yeah, exactly. But when we start with them, we're like, tell it to us like we don't know anything. More like
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
to us like we're fifth grader, because we want to hear it from their own voice. And so some clients are really good at doing that, and some clients it's still really over my head and I have to like Google everything they say. But it's but
Yeah.
it's
Well, that's the gift of knowledge.
oh,
So
sorry.
you mentioned earlier, like B2B founders, it's better that they start building their own personal brand earlier. What what do you think just as they start thinking about this? So what's the cost of them waiting if they don't do it and they come to you fresh versus someone who's built it up?
Yeah, I think it's I mean, it just makes everything so much harder to,
Mm.
when you are ready to turn it on, it makes it so much harder. There's, someone else. If you're building something because there's a problem it solves
Mhm.
and there's a fit in the market for it now, you have to, even if you're not ready to reveal that product or that solution or whatever, you have to start talking about it. I think talking about the problems and and start talking about, what your experience in that space is, because someone else will
Mm.
if you don't, and then you'll be late, and then you'll have lost that opportunity, and someone else will have already sort of shaped that narrative, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
How much does it stink when the loudest person in the room, maybe not the most qualified, but the loudest gets the business, right?
yeah, I mean,
Like, that's what you're saying.
yeah, I mean, and we have come across that in even in PR. There are
Yeah.
a few, I guess I would call them PR influencers on social media that are really closely in the same space as us on LinkedIn. And I mean, and they're
Mhm.
posting all the time. I just don't know how they have time to do this, but they're and they're putting good stuff out. I like the stuff they put out,
Yeah.
and they get probably tons of inbounds. So yeah, so be consistent. That's
Yeah.
important. Definitely be consistent, and also be useful. I think that's the other important thing. Don't be consistently putting out stuff that nobody needs to know about or see. But
Yeah.
put stuff out that's useful, and I think that's going to be the best way to build that trust.
Just sharing, yeah, valuable. And I mean, I always used to talk about the 3 E's, so you have educational content, you have entertainment, and then you have engaging content. Or you have to engage with the people, bring
Yeah.
people into the conversation, and those would be the 3 ways you can find success on social at a very high level. And I think it's still true. What you're saying is be useful, being like, there are a lot of people finding success just building in public, right? They're saying, like, "Hey, I don't know everything right now. I'm gonna put it out there. Here's what I've learned."
Y-
Is that what you're saying when you say be useful? Like, here's
Yeah, I
everything
mean,
I know.
I think that's kind of exactly what you're saying. The interesting thing is I'm learning it just as it's happening.
Yeah.
I think I work with this guy, Adam. Adam, shout out to Adam. He has so much expertise in the SEO realm. He did it for a number of years before he came to work for us, and I learned from him all the time. But
Mhm.
he was like, I do not call myself an SEO expert because there are no SEO experts. We're all learning this. It's all changing and happening. I just keep up with it. And some people,
Right.
keep up with it better than others. And that's what we're trying to do with AI and AEO and whatever you want to call it
Yeah.
now, GEO, AEO. I hear a lot of different terms, but
Yep.
yeah. So I think when I say be useful, it's put it out there as you're learning it, and if you're what you're willing to share as you're learning it, add value where you can. Nope,
Mhm.
don't chime in on every single topic. They chime in on the things that you actually can add value to. I think that's what I try to.
Stay within your
Um,
wheelhouse.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so true. So if people are listening right now and I want them to get as much value as possible. I know we had talked about LinkedIn, and I think it is the platform for B2B right now.
Yeah.
There's the personal brand layer, right? So they're showing up, building trust, creating content. That
Hmm.
that moves the needle. But then there's the discoverability layer.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that when someone is searching for expertise in your category, that your name is coming up? And I know this is shifting. So what are you seeing right now on the ground that's
Yeah, it
helping
is it
people?
is changing a lot. And so I think what we're telling clients and what we're trying to like lead with is it's a combination of things that help build that authority. So
Okay.
there's like this big shift, and it's moving from ranking to more to trusted, credible people, content, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's a combination of owned content. So things that like these things like podcasts and things. Well, for me, this would be earned, but for brands that are doing a content or sorry, a podcast or a newsletter or even their own LinkedIn,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
helps
Yeah.
build the authority and the expertise. And then there's the stuff that we're helping clients do, which is on the earned media side of things,
Hmm.
which is, publications writing about you or even contributed articles that are in third-party publications builds the credibility. That's the like
That's
validation
the
part.
big
So
trust piece. Like,
yeah, so
yeah,
that those two things combined
massive.
is the strategy to get to
Mm.
the best discoverability. And what a lot of reports are saying right now is that the earned media part of it carries more weight with
Bigger
the
weight.
discoverability. Yeah.
Interesting. So
But
like the AI algorithms are feeding off those traditional news media sources heavier than
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
LinkedIn or okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think both contribute because
Yeah.
becoming an expert or like be- becoming known as an expert or becoming an authority is also helps get more earned
Mm.
media.
Hmm. Yeah.
um so both of them work together, and I think it is about like being consistent in both of those spaces.
Oh, completely. I mean,
Yeah.
and then paid, you can have a piece too. There's
Yes. Yep.
earned, owned, and paid. And I always view it as, they all work in tandem and it's compounding a flywheel. But I think the goal is always to push more people from earned and paid into your owned channels
Yeah.
to build that community and grow it
Yeah.
um,
Definitely.
further. But there's no question that traditional media, I mean, amplifies trust like no other because it's
Well, and
the same
yeah.
as a referral from a friend.
Right.
That news source is saying, hey, this person's worth paying attention to.
Yeah. Well, we've
Huge.
seen like in the last couple of years so much growth in the owned space. So
Mm.
like a lot of the bigger companies creating their own content hubs and hiring a lot of the journalists to work for them.
Yeah.
So have seen lots of like journalists go in house, which is
Interesting. Yeah.
interesting. We can see the appeal of that, especially for the journalists who are.
I think it's a
It's
great
just
move.
yeah,
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 I think everyone has to act like a media company and people, that's not my line. I just believe it. It's,
yeah,
do you remember people started saying that, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago when Red Bull was doing it. Red Bull is a media company. They've always have been. They just have a product
yeah,
attached to it.
yeah,
And I would argue they are the best in the game.
yeah, and
Um,
they're putting out like really great content, like
yeah,
like interesting, valuable, like entertaining content,
yeah,
and I think that's the critical thing and that goes back to just be useful. Put stuff out that people
yeah.
want, not just don't just put something out every day because you should put something out every day. Put something out every day that people need or want.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you think that so we're building, we're talking to founders specifically, but the obviously I think the founder has to be out there, but what about the exec team, right? Or
Mm,
everybody in your org? Like what's your view on that? Do they need to be visible publicly as well in
yeah,
today's landscape?
I think so. I think
Mm.
it should never just be the founder.
Okay.
I think I mean, we lead by example at Castor. So everybody at Castor has a voice. I mean, it's part of how Kim was able to do what she's able to do. If it was just
Mm.
Kim always
Okay.
out there
Yeah.
and nobody else, then it would be really hard for her to transition this to me and Pete. But Pete and I have been building our brands, within Castor and helping to build the Castor brand for so long. And everyone else on the team does too. So
Great
for
call out.
clients, I always say we should find a few different voices, because a strong bench of experts across different areas helps even, reinforce that expertise, and it helps build the credibility and the depth of knowledge. So yeah, I think having a founder that's out there and willing to be out there, because not all of them are, is really important, but
Mm.
also having a company-wide sort of, and not company-wide, but like a few different voices helps scale better. So we try to figure out, like, who the different people are to talk on which topics, or which, to which audiences.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, that was my
I'd say
next
so.
question is I think there's fear of when you start telling people, yeah, you probably should have the whole team on, top out there publicly visible, repping the brand. And I used to call it like live the brand.
Yeah.
That's the ideal goal for everyone in the org is that they live the brand and that they're one with it, which there's a lot to that. But I think there's fear that they're going to misrepresent things. Like, how do you work with clients on that front?
So when we're talking, have a few spokespeople, we're talking like 3, 5, 6,
Okay.
whatever
Yeah.
spokespeople. So those people we train and we work with on, you know, their expertise is this level of stuff. They're the ones talking to the academic journals or whatever, and
Okay.
the
Yeah.
the and he's doing all the business press, and then she's handling everything, whatever, in different areas. We kind of
Yeah.
segment that out.
Yep. Yep.
But we do advise getting as many team members involved in the LinkedIn of the world as
Mhm.
possible, because the only way that your company posts are going to get seen is if your team
Yeah.
is sharing. So we often do these trainings for clients, especially some of the bigger corporations we work with, where we train their sales team, or, other folks on their team, on how to use LinkedIn. So how to engage with the company posts, um, and how to use it for their own brands. So
So
we do
important.
provide training to them on what is good to share
Okay.
and what to kind of stay away from, how to engage with the posts, or like how to, you know, and hopefully they see value in that on their own pages. But when we do that with a team, we usually see really, really big engagement numbers on
I would imagine.
their company LinkedIn.
Yeah. I would imagine that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Um, Especially there's so many people still today. It's shocking that are just invisible publicly.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Don't may have a LinkedIn page, but don't have a image, and have never posted
mhm.
anything. Um,
Right.
yeah,
And even if you're listening and it's like this, you're not a founder. I think it boosts your career.
yeah.
Like you're going to be more desirable as an employee or a teammate, and
When
it's
you,
worth
I
investing in.
mean, and it's not just to be out there talking about yourself all the time.
No.
I learn a lot of stuff from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I mean, I get a lot of value out of LinkedIn. Not so it's relationships and creating networks, which is helpful, but it's also, there's useful information out there. I'm
Yeah.
learning a lot. This is where a lot of sources for I should be reading about AI come from.
Yeah, no, I completely because especially with an AI, because I think it is so new, and you have to go to those sources. Like
Yeah.
I always, I know there's courses now, and you can take it, and it probably helps accelerate that learning curve. But
Yeah.
there's just so much stuff out there, like
And
YouTube,
yeah, I
LinkedIn.
know.
They're great
And it,
sources.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's the people providing the most value who are getting the most visibility and authority building and trust and
Right.
followings because
Yes.
there's value there.
Exactly.
Um, Okay, so we've covered so much, and I wanna be respectful of your time. So we've got the one last thing about sorry, the do I wanna okay. We went to AEO. Is there what is it if you're talking to a founder, what is the number one thing they need to understand about it right now? Because it is rapidly changing discoverability.
I think that's the thing. We're seeing this major shift right now in how people search for stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's not the same as the SEO days. I mean, to an extent it is. I wish I could quote him exactly, but I can't remember exactly what he said. But my partner Pete said it, where he was like, we're doing the same. Keep doing the same stuff. That's what's gonna help you don't
Got it.
like totally change what you're doing. It's being authentic is really important, and keep doing the same stuff that you would do. But we're not going to be able to get there with ad spend alone.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to rise as an authority, as an expert. And so, yeah, I mean, I think
That's the key.
yeah, so that's where that combo of owned, earned, paid, all
All
contribute,
working together.
all work together. And but yeah, but I mean, it is keep doing the same stuff that traditionally worked. But now I think we just have to think a little bit about maybe the different ratios of that stuff.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. That wasn't a great answer, but yeah. But
No,
it's
that's important. I think it's true. Okay. Rapid fire.
eek.
You can pass. It's
No,
it's a
just go
fun
ahead.
segment. Quick.
Yeah.
Short answers.
Okay.
So first question: Twitter 2009 or LinkedIn 2026?
I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Twitter. It
Ooh.
was so fun. It was definitely a distraction.
Yeah.
But it was like I said, it was a huge business opportunity.
Mhm.
It was crazy how it was happening so fast. You could build such a big following back
Yeah.
then if you got in on it early.
That's
Also,
true.
technically met my husband on Twitter. Kind
No
of.
way.
That's a
Oh
weird.
wow.
I mean,
Another.
we were doing a project together, but we started tweeting anyway. It's just so weird. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to say Twitter. It was a lot
Okay.
more fun.
Okay.
I think LinkedIn does give me, like I already said I do get a lot of value out of LinkedIn. I do find it
Yeah.
helpful for my work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're right. There was nothing like Twitter 2009.
No.
Okay. Most overrated thing founders do when trying to get PR coverage.
I think it's that they think that the one big hit, like a TechCrunch article, is gonna be the winning success for
Solve all their
them. And
problems.
yeah, and that they're gonna bot the next day. So instead of looking at it as a long-term
Mm,
strategy.
okay. What's one tool or habit that you couldn't operate without right now?
I mean, I'm going to be very old school with this answer, but it's my Outlook calendar, dude. I can't live with it.
That's
I mean,
great.
it is old school. I use it so hard. I'm a calendar blocker. I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically becomes my to-do list. If there's a family event that's not in the calendar, we just because my husband's the same way. We don't know what to do without our Outlook.
I don't think that's a boring answer at all. I think that is an overlooked answer and probably one of the most important tools for a lot of people,
Oh, it makes
especially
me old.
founders, right? Like,
Yeah.
talk about the value of time blocking and minimizing distractions. Calendar. It's a great,
Yeah, I'm a
great tool.
big proponent of time blocking. I've taught people how to do it, and I
Yeah.
think it's been life-changing for them too.
Oh, it's incredible once you unlock that. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, all right. If you had to start with over completely today, building your personal brand, zero audience, zero connections, what's your first move?
I would go to LinkedIn, and I would definitely say, size of audience doesn't matter when you're starting like that. You really should just be authentic. So
Mm. Okay.
with a lot of what we just said,
Yeah.
be real, just be consistent, keep showing up there, and you will connect. And if you are genuine, I think you're much more likely to build like real connections. And yeah, that's where I would start.
Okay. Cool. All right. So last question, and I ask one to every guest. You spent 20 years building a reputation for other people, and now you own the agency. So with all that, what does reputation mean to you today?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this. I was actually thinking about it yesterday because a really good friend of mine works for this bigger corporation, and she was going to for a promotion, and she was like, I have, and she's been in her role for a long time, so she was like, I have to get my resume together. I haven't had my
Mm,
resume in a long time, and I was like, wow, it's kind of crazy. It kind of suddenly occurred to me, like, I'm not updating a resume anymore. This is endgame for me, hopefully.
oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And I, so I'm not only yeah, so I am working on my reputation still. I'm like, I have to maintain and keep building a reputation for the long term. But
Mm,
I'm also like, this is it. This is going to be where I am when I stop working. And so I need to think about, what do I want to be remembered for, and
mm,
how do I want to leave this place, even if it is in 20 years from now, but like, how do I want to leave this place? And I think I've I've thought a lot about that recently because of the acquisition and because of the transition that Kim is going through with, you know,
selling it.
leaving,
Yeah.
selling Castor, and then, retiring. And and part of what she did it at this time, even though she's pretty young. She did it at this time because Castor is so healthy, and it
Yeah.
was a good time for and a good opportunity for me and Pete, and a good time for her to step away. And I
Mhm.
think I'm already thinking about, like, how do I make sure, because that's now all part of my reputation. How do I make sure I keep Castor in that same position?
Yeah.
So I think,
That's
yeah, it's kind of
interesting.
crazy to think
That's
about
yeah.
that.
So
I
you're
will,
thinking more of it like a legacy, like
yes, a
it's
legacy,
legacy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. Alex, it's awesome. It's such a pleasure having you on the show. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
your time.
Thank you so
Um,
much for having me.
where
Because I think we talked a lot about this sort of full circle, but we've known each other almost 20 years too.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you helped me early in my first business. You were helping me with SEO and probably Twitter and a bunch of other things. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks for
Um,
having me. It's
yeah,
been really
thank you so
fun.
much. And where can people find you? What's the best? Just is it
Yeah.
through the website?
Yeah, we're Castercom, CASTERCOMM.com. But
All
I'm
right.
also on LinkedIn, Alexandra Crabb with two B's. And
Highly recommend you to follow for everything cutting edge AEO
thank
and
you.
PR.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, Alex.
Yeah,
I
thank
know
you.
we'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds great.